Welcome back, everyone. The ruling APC has been criticized of not being truthful to the restructuring agenda. That's when the party says it wants to win elections, they throw up the restructuring agenda. So that's some of the criticism by political analysts. And when some of these politicians get into office, they simply abandon the idea. There have been series of national conferences with reports gathering dust in some shelves in Abuja. The nation has been thrown in the burden, or the National Assembly has been thrown with the burden of fixing the badly shaped Nigerian structure. But do they have the will, power, or the political will to fix the nation in spite of the constitutional bottlenecks? Let's speak to these issues, everyone. We started the conversation. My guest in our Abuja studio, Dr. Beatrice Pogu, is the president of the Middle Belt Forum. And here is one of the leaders of the National Assembly, Professor Olushola Adeyeye, is the Senate Chief Whip. Thank you so much, Prof, for coming. And Dr. Pogu, thank you. Before you went on that break, you heard, we play at some point, when you did say that the Constitution of Nigeria, as currently shaped and structured, cannot give us peace and progress. No. You are in the National Assembly. Your party, as a majority, your party promised restructuring, but nothing has been heard in 4 years about that. It has not happened. But it doesn't look like you can achieve that anyways before the expiration of this tenure. Is that a failure on the part of your party?
It's a failure on the part of the National Assembly. And I'll tell you why.
Of which you're a member.
Of which I'm a member.
And a leader.
Of which I was I'm a principal officer. Listen, I was a member of the Constitutional Review Committee in the 7th Assembly. The matter of police, I argued passionately in committee. State right, we argued passionately in committee. At the end of the day, no matter how passionately you feel about any issue, votes are taken. You win some, you lose some. And I'd like to remind this republic that one of the most controversial issues in the 7th Assembly was the issue of our effort to increase the age at which a Nigerian can renounce citizenship. You have to be an adult. And we try to spell adulthood as meaning attaining the age of 18. We took a vote and it passed. One senator, Senator Sani Yerima from Zamfara State, took exception. He said that the law of Islam says that once you got married, you are an adult, and that the vote we are taking was an assault on the fundamental right of Muslims in Nigeria. He called for a second vote. Some of us approached Senator Mark and begged him not to allow a second vote. Of course, Senator Mark had been long in government. He understood that that could be an issue that could consume all of us. He allowed a second vote. And unfortunately, every Muslim from the north, except one, who had voted yes previously, reversed himself, and that exercise now lost by 3 votes. But the following day, the headlines in social media and in the press was not that we were discussing the issue of the age at which a Nigerian could renounce citizenship. The headline was that the Nigerian Senate had prescribed any age for anybody to get married, including a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old. We were scandalized, whereas the Senate was trying to solve a problem. That's part of it when we allow the noise to get to a level when we fail to listen to each other. Listen, in any country, amending the Constitution is never a straightforward and easy problem. All of us in the Senate took an oath to abide by that Constitution and to protect it. That Constitution stipulates how it can be changed and requires certain percentages
Well, a lot of,
If we don't meet those percentages,
Senator,
is it my fault?
Senator,
because I've not tried?
Senator, aside the fact that you've put a lot of effort,
Yes.
billions of Nigerian naira has gone into the amendment. In 7th Assembly,
I agree.
at least 2 billion was spent on that
I
exercise.
agree.
In the 8th Assembly, a similar situation is
agree.
experienced.
I
And
agree.
so Nigerians will look at the crop of the lawmakers that we have. Should they be happy with you that you are the one holding the progress of this country?
No. The Nigerian people themselves are mostly guilty. The reason is this. You just showed me getting angry in that
Chamber.
that you saw. That's almost the 5th time that I was going to address that matter. The first issue of Zamfara, when it was brought up, I spoke with equal passion. I remember Adetumbi and all the rest were there, the 7th National Assembly. And what got me so animated was that I'm getting to the end of 8th year in the Senate. This problem has persisted. We have not solved it. And the same ones who keep saying no to police, to state police, for example, the senator who made the most noise about the problem in that state is my good friend. His name just...
Senator Marafa.
Marafa, okay, my very good friend, okay. Marafa is not interested in state police. And you know why? Because he's afraid that the governor in his state might abuse it. So if Marafa doesn't want state police, and yet his state is in that mess in which it is because the federal police has not worked, how do we find the problem? So these are the issues. That day you saw me animated. One principal officer said to me after I finished, Prof, I agree with everything you said, but you will not get me to say it on national television because I must answer to my local constituency. That is why the local constituency must now begin to demand these things of their senator. If they demand it of them, we will have no choice but to respond. Woe betide any Yoruba senator, regardless of his party, who will go to National Assembly and will not vote for true federalism because they understand it. But let me also say it. Most of us don't understand that on the short run, there will be cost to true federalism. For example, if we were to overnight, and we must not do that, simply go back to the formula that we had at independence, how would we sustain Osun? That even right now, getting what it is getting from the federal force, cannot pay his salary, or most of the other states. This 30,000 that we have just passed, you know that most states will not be able to pay unless we simply devalue the currency of the naira, so we give the money to them in one hand, take it from the other hand. So what do I propose? Personally, I believe that as far as the revenue formula is concerned, we must go back to the formula that we had at independence. That is what our founding fathers agreed. How do we get there? We start from where we are now, and we increase the state portion 1% every year. The federal government goes back 1%. By maximum 30 years, we will be back to where we were at independence. But if you get us together and you say, tomorrow, you must now give Delta and Akwa Ibom and the all-producing state more money on one swoop, most states of Nigeria will collapse overnight, and the crisis we will have will be worse than Boko Haram. So all of us as leaders must get less emotional. We must summon the courage, the temperament, and the wisdom
Because, I mean,
to meet at table and find a way forward.
one of the items critical in this debate is the issue of the over-bloated system of government.
Yes.
And perhaps a lot of people have agitated on how much you and your colleagues earn as federal lawmakers. Perhaps you think that also should be cut down, isn't it?
Well, you can go on YouTube, on your own program. Many times I've argued that we need to reduce the cost of government. You asked me one time, do we need a bicameral legislature? I believe we do. Do we need 3 senators per state? I don't think we do. I think we can cut back to 2 senators. Do we need a full-time legislature? I don't think we do. At independence, My own principal, a magnificent principal, Canon Akinyemi, Father Bolagi Akinyemi, was a member of the House of Reps. Papa Adekunle Ajesi was a school principal until he became a front bencher. Jonathan Odebi from what was then Egbado, Baba Aboro, was the vice principal of Egbado College until he became a front bencher. We don't even have to make politicking a full-time business. We inherited this full-time business from the Americans who have more money than they can spend. Here in Nigeria, our resources are limited. But whether we want to have 2 per state or bicamera or unicameral, I actually have argued here also that I also believe I prefer a parliamentary system. But whatever we need to do, we need to come together and argue it. Because across the world, there are presidential systems that are working. There are bicameral systems that are working. There are systems that has even more than 3 legislators per state that are working. It's up to us to say, okay, these are our problems. How do we solve them? Let me give you one fact of history. Almost 40 years ago, Lateef Kayode Jakande, governor of Lagos State, tried to have a metro line, which would have principally, if not permanently, solved the problem of transportation in the metropolis of Lagos. Southerners belonging to a different party were at the forefront of frustrating that government and making sure that that program did not take off. Why? Because they argued that railway is on the exclusive list. Almost 30 years later, Bola Tinubu came to Lagos, tried a private-public partnership that would have allowed Lagos State, along with the private sector, to generate most of its own electricity. Most Nigerians do not know that Lagos State consumed more than 50% of the electricity generated in Nigeria. So if Bola Tinubu had been allowed to have done what he wanted to do, some say, oh, he will just make more money. If he makes more money at the end of the day, Lagos is no longer in darkness, Ikorodu is not in darkness, all right, Gbomina is not in darkness, Kogi is not in darkness, Abia is not in darkness, God bless him. The truth is, for too long, we keep deceiving ourselves. There is nothing holy, nothing sacred, nothing sacrosanct about railway that it should be on the exclusive list. Same for police, same for prison. What we need to do is do whatever we can do to make this country work. If Dangote and Makedirunga and a few rich people can come together and give us railway and pay appropriate tax to the local government, to the state government, and the federal government, oh, God bless them. Let's stop this nonsense in which we say these are the commanding heights of the economy. They can only be run by the federal government. The federal government, not this one, over the years and decades have shown that when you make power so absolute, you make inefficiency absolutely absolute.
Interesting that we have you here. I know you're a radical member of the APC, but your party has promised some of these things, and that's one of the reasons why some people are angry with your party. If you read some of the criticism against your party, a big question here, Prof, is that do you think that the President Buhari that you know, from what statement that he read, he didn't say this verbatim, or he didn't say it off the cuff, he read it from a given speech.
Yes.
That means that it was prepared. That means it was intentional. Do you think he has a political way to make the true federalism happen?
You have not been fair to our president. Nobody put a gun on his head. When you write a speech for a presidents across the world don't write their own speeches. I know a few men. Bolag is one of the most brilliant men that this country ever produced. Some of Bolag's speeches, I wrote them. Across the world, the most magnificent brains in politics have speeches written for them. There's nothing unique about that. Once you take it and you read it, it becomes yours. So Buhari read what he believes. That's what I would say. Having done that, let's salute him. Let's now encourage him and say, okay, Baba Daura, that's my own man. How do we now bring about what you said you want to do? Let me tell you. You showed us a piece of former President Jonathan. He said he had a conference and things like that. When he had that conference, the PDP had more than 2/3 in the House of Reps. The PDP had more than 2/3 in the Senate. It would have been easy for him to fast-track implementation of that and see what will happen in the states. He didn't do it. Listen, we must stop dancing to the gallery of cheap populism. What we need to do as statesmen and women, people can see what are wrong with our nation and what we must do to fast-track solving our problems. And I believe that the Constitution is a big problem. But I would be telling a lie if I say it is the only problem. Corruption is a problem.
So, Prof, let me put you on the spot.
Yes,
if you were President Buhari,
yes,
and you're seated right here,
yes,
and you're telling Nigerians, millions of people who are watching right now,
yes,
that true federalism is a necessity, what's the first thing to do to handle it, or to tackle it, or to take a decision on it right here, right now?
I will call the leadership of the National Assembly, and I will convince them about 4 or 5 items that I believe will not be too controversial, that we can take them from the exclusive list right away. For example, we don't say if you are a state you don't want to have police, you must have it. But if you want to have it, we should give you the permission to have it. Federalism was evolved as a system to safeguard stability and allow peace in big and complex societies. The biggest societies in North America, they have federal system, USA, Canada, Mexico, they have federalized police. That is, their police, they have state and provincial police. Go to South America. Look at the 5 biggest countries, beginning from Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, Peru, Venezuela. 2 of them are unitary, that is Colombia and Peru. They don't have provincial police. 3 of them are federal, that is Brazil, Argentina, and Venezuela, they have. Go to Europe, unitary system, Britain and France. They don't have state police, but even in Britain, they have a form of decentralized police because they have municipal police, what they call territorial police. Okay, but what do you find in Germany? What do you find in Belgium? Of course you find provincial police. Go, leave Europe. Now go to Asia. China runs a unitary system, so there's no state police. The next 2 big countries, India and Pakistan, what do they have? Federal system, they have provincial police. Leave that, go to Oceania, Australia, they have provincial police. What we have seen across the world are that big, complex countries maintain a federal system and they have state police in addition to federal police. And the way you do it depends on what you negotiate.
We'll take another break. Professor, we still have Dr. Beatrice Pogu in our Abuja studio, and Professor Adeyeye, Senate Chief Whip, has been talking to us, but we'll take a moment on the program. We'll take another break. Will President Muhammadu Buhari restructure Nigeria? A big question. We shall be taking a closer look on after now. Join us again.